The Diamond TV presenter search seeks to push contestants to the limit. Only those who are able to learn and adapt quickly will make it through. This week's challenge will test the contestants' ability to tell a compelling story. It combines much of what the contestants have been exposed to for weeks now. And to help the contestants out, Costa has a special guest.
Contestants, welcome back and welcome to this week's challenge. Last week, we tackled aspects of research. I know that most of you participating in this competition are not journalists by training. Many a times that we see presenters on TV or listen to presenters on radio, or more so in recent times, look at people's blogs, YouTube pages, on social media, trying to communicate information about topics but do not have the journalism requisite. If you want to be a presenter and be that one diamond we're looking for, aspects of research, but also knowing the craft of what it takes to work with a newsroom or within a newsroom with journalists, because more often than never, you will have journalists preparing news pieces for you as a presenter or as a caster. That does not mean that all you have to do is deliver, but you need to understand the backroom dynamics of how news gathering works and what it takes to put these pieces together. This week, I introduce you to a very good colleague of mine, an elder brother that I've known from my college days at Evelyn Horn College, Kennedy Gondwe. He is here today to talk to you and mentor you on aspects of storytelling and also what it takes to come up with good story pieces. He's a scribe, but a person who enjoys human interest documentaries and pieces.
It's now time to execute.
We've been shooting since morning around 10 hours, and this is 17 hours. And we've been moving around environments, asking different people if they could be able to be part of our production, but you experience different feedbacks. Others are accepting, others are refusing, and it's been quite tiresome. This is not a very easy job as it looks on camera, but it's interesting because you get to learn a lot of things and you get to discover a lot of places, but it's fun all in all.
So the day has been a little bit hectic, from starting off early, trying to put the guests together, talking to people in the streets, and some refusing, others just really not saying what they're supposed to say. It's been hectic on its own. I think I even have a brain tumor. It's hard. So,
please delete that. Yeah, please delete.
Yeah, I felt like I still had a chance to finish and put my package together. So it was really disappointing to have someone just cancel at the last minute.
I would say I'm like a solid 8. I'm confident in my package, like a solid 8, because I know that once I execute everything, like the editing and everything else, it's going to be like pretty top notch.
My piece is about sexual abuse. I realized that there's so many people that go through this sexual abuse and they really don't open up about it. We're supposed to be interviewing Chawanzi. It was very hard for me to get her because she was really not comfortable about talking about it.
Okay, so we're in Chilanga ward of Chilanga district, and we're having a chat with the ward councillor, Mr. Mishek Mwemba, who is also the deputy council chairperson for Chilanga ward.
We are in Makeni Bonaventure and we are talking about fintech with a CEO of a techpreneur company, or a tech company rather. Alright, I picked this topic because I feel not enough shine is brought on financial technology. So I wanted to be able to expound on something that is currently ongoing in the country.
Today we're in Kamala South. And what we came to do is we came to have an interaction with a young lady that I feel has a story to tell that would teach people out there. Her name is Astrida Kasonde. She was a victim of rape. She was raped when she was very young. By the age of 25, 26, she already has 6 kids rather. She already had 6 kids. She had been to prison 5 times. She was abusing drugs, but she somehow managed to come out of it, and now she's a responsible mother.
We're in Olympia right now at Mr. Mwila Lwanga's residence, and we're about to have an interview. I selected this topic on the basis that I feel a lot of Zambian youth need to be made aware of the fact that politics is changing and it should be something that they should be actively involved in and engage themselves in. We have one such example today with the interview that I was conducting, and I feel it's a very relevant topic as the future of politics is changing and we need to pioneer ourselves and position ourselves as the youth to no longer just be tools of the government or any other political party, but we should be pioneers of how we want our political future to be run.
Still to come on the Diamond TV Presenter Search.
And then again, innocent, you've been caught up. This was taught to you. Why were there adverts of Nike and other shoe brands in that package?
First up is Khotso.
Okay, so the objective of the story was to show that you can run as an independent candidate and make it.
Yes, as well as show the general populace how the future of politics is changing with regards to youth being more actively involved in politics and trying to change the narrative, which my guest was trying to do, or is trying to do rather.
She didn't do so well in last week's challenge in as far as communicating her message to her viewer. Will she rise above that this week?
The field of politics is often considered to be a dirty game, and the people participating within politics aren't always looked upon by society as upstanding and upright people. But that is slowly beginning to change as some youths are rising up within the Zambian political scenery and are choosing to change the narrative. Today we talk about the political scenery with one such youth, Mwila Bwanga, who will be explaining his experience standing as an independent candidate and his aspirations for the future of Zambian politics.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. When did I first realize I wanted to join the field of politics?
Is this the editing?
One of the things that I believe, is that all of us are politically engaged.
So is it just an interview?
Sorry?
Is it just an interview that you did?
Yes.
Did you ask questions in there or it was removed during edit?
I did ask him questions.
Did you ask for the questions to be removed?
No.
What instructions did you give the editor?
I simply told him that I needed it to be aligned properly. I didn't want to be in the shot. I wanted the shot to rather focus on him instead.
Did you ask him to cut out the questions?
To cut out me asking him the
Yes.
questions? No, not that I recall.
Khotso, being a news anchor herself, meant Costa had high expectations for her presentation. Unfortunately, he feels she did not do it justice. Cosmos put up a good performance last week with his creative introduction. Can he push that creativity to this week as well?
So I decided to come up with a news package, which was mainly talking about waste management. But my focus was not on how waste is generated. I took it a little bit to a different angle to how waste is disposed of. So I decided to visit the only dump site that we have in Lusaka, and then I wanted to know how sanitable the place is and how people who live around that area experience life, because there are a lot of diseases that can come out of it. So I wanted to know how people survive from such diseases and what they think should be done about it. That's mainly about my news package.
Let's take a look at it.
Thank you.
A topic that has been talked about for decades but still seems to be taken lightly and as a petty issue. Focused much on individuals littering in the streets of town, but today we shift our focus to the dump site.
The Chunga dump site sits on a 10-acre land and is located on the northern sides of the city of Lusaka, which is near the boundary of Chisamba, a district in Central Province. This is the only government gazetted facility for solid waste disposal. It was constructed in 2006 and was funded by the Danish government. This creates predisposing factors for the spread of diseases and infections such as malaria, diarrhea, cholera, and tetanus. But how do the people who live around this area survive from this? this.
Okay, monga na COVID-19 yamene iliko iso, especially monga isi wamene tiri kuno.
Tetupusuke because mamona icho chifo chiri fuma pale. Tachiri bwino. Because like ifo mwachipita koko. Namona fili wale tashani wale vika mulodi ifi share fini. So wale vika futi manda.
Concerning the statistics of how many tons of waste are disposed of at this dump site, I went to the office of the public relations officer who told me that she was not in the position of giving me those statistics. Hence, she discovered that she should send me to the public health expert who was supposed to give me those statistics. What happened was when we went to the office, we were told that the man is not in town. And so what happened was that we did not get the statistics. Instead, I insisted to get his phone number that I may be able to contact him and get the statistics. It's so sad that his number or phone couldn't go through. Cosmas Mulenga, Diamond TV.
Obviously, you are wondering why I'm laughing. So let me explain to you what I'm laughing at. It's what he's talking about. First of all, when what you need to understand is that broadcast is all about limited time.
Yes, sir.
I want you to imagine that you're given, what we manage is, for example, an hour or say half an hour in which we're going to fit in stories. So imagine you're 10 journalists in a newsroom. Why should the editor pick your story? It needs to be at least maximum 90 seconds or below that. So there's no time to include unnecessary information. Because then why not tell us how you jumped into the car? And how the car turned a corner and how the car went 40. That's what you're giving us in that irrelevant information. That's what made me laugh because so you went to the PR person who realized that she didn't have the statistics. Then the person who had the statistics, you realized he was not in the office. Then you realized his phone was not ringing. Then you realized you had no statistics.
An incoherent storyline is what Costa feels Cosmas has produced. Would that be enough to send him home this week? Costa describes Grace's performance last week as flat. Will she have a comeback this time around?
Quite a mouthful there, Grace, and I hear too many excuses. But let's watch the package before we give feedback.
Okay. Agriculture is the backbone of Zambia's food security. Many farmers across the country grow maize as it is Zambia's staple food. But as the world grapples with the effects of climate change, Zambia is not an exception. Speaking on behalf of farmers, Zambian National Farmers Union Public Relations Practitioner, Mr. Calvin Kalei, had this to say.
First of all, we experienced delayed rainfall, okay? And
but for a farmer, their one goal is to have a rainfall and a bumper harvest. My name is Grace Namakau Sikanda, reporting for Diamond News in Lusaka.
Among the things Grace missed in this challenge, according to her judgment, is the visual cues that will help accentuate the setting for her package.
I have to say that this is a very lazy package. And I would never want to encourage this kind of journalism because it is really below par.
She was lacking in that area. Hope survived elimination last week because Costa respected her dedication and commitment to delivering her work. A commendable trait. She meets Costa again this week for her presentation.
That's a very interesting story to cover, Hope, but I want to find out before we watch.
Please.
Did you just do a sit-down interview or you did a package?
A sit-down interview.
And what was the objective of you doing this interview?
My objective was to let her tell her story, to help people learn from her story.
But you were supposed to tell a story. That was the assignment given to you, to go and do a story. So did you tell a story or your guest told the story?
We told the story, both me and my guest.
Let's watch.
Today, we're in Kamwala South, where we'll be talking to an exceptional young woman who shares her story of struggle and triumph. Let's have a sit down with her as we find out more about her story.
Okay, national and never spread that Sunday.
Just pause, director. So you mean to tell us from here it's just an interview? It's you asking questions?
Yes, sir, and a few cutaways.
Then you've missed the assignment totally. You yourself have explained that you were tasked to go and tell a story.
A great concept for a story, but hope lacked in her execution. She can only hope that this won't send her home. Nova got praise last week for her attention to detail in her research. Can she keep that momentum going in this week's task?
Being an artist, I know that the focus that people have is usually the artist and never the producer. But I wanted to take it on a sense of production being a career path, because most people don't feel like if you're a producer, then you're successful, if you don't have a white-collar job and that kind of stuff. So my package is mainly like, you know, the life of a producer and it being something that someone can do as a career.
Well, let's see.
Most Zambians believe that if you do not have a white-collar job, you're probably not as successful as a doctor or a lawyer. But today, we're going to join producer Rico and CEO of Turn Up Music Africa to actually show you that music is a lucrative business in Zambia. Thank you so much, Rico, for joining us. I understand that you are the owner and CEO of Turn Up Music Africa. So why did you choose production and when did you start?
Okay. My music journey started way back when I was at church.
Mm-hmm. That's your package?
You've missed the middle part where he was.
No, but there's nothing I've missed. There's really nothing I've missed. Is that what you call a package? By journalism standards, that's a package? Is that something that would go in the news?
No, sir.
No, seriously, is that something that would go in the news?
No.
We'll see you in the production.
The most brief feedback in the competition so far. This does not look good for Nova. Opa was winner in last week's challenge, impressing both Costa and Jonah. Will Opa add another victory to her name in this competition?
So is this a story being told or it's an interview?
It's an interview. So I had an interview where I asked him a few questions just to have an insight of how really the CDF applications are going in Chilanga.
Let's watch.
Today we are here to have a chat with Mr. Mishek Mwemba, who is the Chilanga Ward Councillor as well as the Deputy Council Chairperson. Mr. Mwemba, welcome to the interview.
Thank you very much, madam.
Okay, so we just want to have an overview of how the CDF uptake is going in your ward, that is Chilanga Ward. Can you give us a brief overview of that, please?
All right, okay. Thank you very much. This exercise started about from the 21st. That was supposed to be the deadline to June 3. Yeah.
So the rest of this is just you asking him questions.
Yes, so I'm asking him questions, then he's explaining how it's going.
Unfortunately, Opa's performance this week left much to be desired. In last week's challenge, Zian stretched a little out of her comfort zone. Hopefully that was enough to get her through this week's challenge.
So I looked at it in the way that I had to look for something that would have human interest of some sort. So I was looking at street food vending.
We're here in the streets of Chazanga, one of the most busiest streets in Lusaka, Zambia. This place is known for having a lot of people moving around, and it is a marketplace and a deluxe when it comes to people shopping for all their basic needs.
I spoke to some locals in this area, and for them, street food is convenient and is readily available for those that can't afford to buy at supermarkets.
Because we are Singapore cleaning and then
and so to get a front row view to it, we visit the takeaway restaurant of Kezia, who is currently raising money for college through her business.
I started this business in 2019 after finishing my grade 12 in 2018.
Costa does not seem to agree with Zian's angle of the story.
Zian, I know your strength is entertainment and you're an entertainer. I know this was not a news piece, but even so still, the language being used and the manner in which this thing needs to be presented needs to be looked at. Okay. The fact that you want to talk so far, are you a rapper? You rap?
Yes.
It's back to the drawing board, but unfortunately, there's no second takes in this competition. Chiambi failed to impress with her performance last week and risked elimination. She needs to step up this week if she wants to prove her worth.
So what is the objective of the story?
To raise awareness, to let people know that this is what's going on, and also for people to be able to talk about it. Because that's another thing that I noticed, that a lot of people don't like to talk about it. They don't like to open up. They don't want to say, I was beaten. They don't want to say, I was sexually abused, or something like that.
Let's watch.
Your childhood should be a safe place, a place of happiness and a place of trust. But for many, this is not the reality. Today we get to speak to someone who has experienced child abuse as she shares her story and actually opens up about her story.
At the age of 8, one of my uncles who lived with us took advantage of me. The first time he did it, he put me on his lap. He found me watching TV.
Do we see anything different apart from this interview? Experts, psychologists, or
I was able to speak to a gender-based violence
in this
activist.
interview?
Yes.
Can we go forward? Is there any narration in this?
No, I didn't.
You spoke to this gentleman?
Yes.
Okay, let me see how that comes in, Landy.
Now that we have spoken to our victim, we will now speak to Biflo, who is a gender-based violence activist.
My name is Brian Wembia, also known as Biflo. I am a music artist, a humanitarian, a women's rights activist, as well as a human rights activist. Oh, I have received so many people. If I can count them, maybe they'll be in thousands by now, or in hundreds.
Watching what you pieced together there really is not impressive, because it's got certain minimal elements of a package. But first of all, the cue-ins or the interviews with your guest are too long for a package. There's very little storytelling from yourself. For example, did you try and research on the statistics on sexual related gender-based violence in Zambia?
Yes.
Or child?
Yes, I did.
Do they come out in there?
No.
Why not? Because your intro speaks very little. I understand the time you were shooting your interviews, one in the afternoon, another probably late in the evening to beat deadline. But it is your job as the person telling the story to really see what is important. For example, you can't have Biflo talking about how many people go to him and things like that. We're supposed to put this in context as a problem. There were no statistics. The inserts were too long. There was very little or absolutely no storytelling in there.
2 strikes in a row for Chiambi. This does not look good. George has so far been unable to retain his status of having the best presentation in the competition. Will he pull it off this week?
For your package, you spoke with one person.
Yes, a technology entrepreneur.
I mean, I've read your bio on the internet. It says that you're a journalist.
Yes.
Okay.
Today we get to sit down with the CEO of Afrimeta Technologies, Mr. Mwewa George Walia, as he gets to expound on the topic. Stay tuned.
All right, so my name is Mwewa Walia. I'm the chief executive.
Is this an interview throughout?
It was a sit down, yes.
So from here until the end, it's an interview?
Yes, and then just the outro in regards to what he spoke about and a few things.
Can we go to the outro?
Okay. The government must also be able to set up particular systems that are going to be able to regulate, but also inform and sensitize every member of the public and every citizen, rather, in the country. Reporting for Diamond Media in Makeni, Lusaka, my name is George Samuel Pere.
I'm very disappointed. I don't even understand you. You've been to journalism school.
Yeah.
Is an interview a feature story? Is it a package?
In regards to the information I was collecting, in this particular case it was.
Yes, you can do an interview with an expert, but you don't need an expert to talk to you for over 10 minutes and call it a package. Your assignment was to tell a story. Have you told a story?
I did.
I don't see the story. How have you told the story?
So in the whole package, we get to talk about financial technology. So I talked
through the interview?
Yes, through the sit down.
That's not storytelling. What you're doing there is a lot of waffling and just talking a lot of English that is... Where are the statistics, first of all?
A few imperative facts were missing in George's package. Innocent missed the target in last week's presentation. Here is an opportunity for him to redeem himself.
Today we are here in Intercity to get word from some of our entrepreneurs and see what they think about entrepreneurship and what they think government should do to help them in the entrepreneurship sector.
Entrepreneurship has helped me to sustain myself, sustain my own life, and I guess keep me going.
And then again, Innocent, you've been caught up. This was taught to you. Why were there adverts of Nike and other shoe brands in that package?
On that one, I was completely... I just take what's this?
You forgot the rule?
I didn't, at the moment I didn't think it would matter, and that was a very big mistake.
Why shouldn't it matter? Because it's a package?
I really can't say, but it was a very big mistake on my part and I deeply regret it.
Good luck, Innocent.
Called out for cussing on camera last week, Ntalasha makes it back to Costa and Jonah. Will she be able to control her expressions this time around?
So what I did was I had a discussion with Akaponya for a good 30 minutes and I thought of an idea. So what I came up with is the effect of the fiscal tightening on the people on the ground and their pockets.
Okay, let's hear.
Zambian public debt as a share of GDP is over 100%. Simply put, what Zambians produce yearly will fall short of what they will need to sustain themselves if they are to repay the debt. Since 2020, when Zambia became the first African country to default on its debt in the era of COVID-19, majority of its debt was not financed.
I'm here in Long Acres Market and I'm going to be interviewing several Zambians to see how the changes in the cost of living is affecting their daily lives and their incomes. Follow me. So I'm here in Long Acres and I'm joined by a man who I've found here. His name is, what's your name, sir?
David Mkelewa.
What do you do for a living and why are you even here? How have I found you?
I'm looking for a job,
okay.
As a man, but even to Zambia, Matamono, Putako, swap and Pempacochi, Senzaku, guy, and Pasaka 5 years, whatever life goes on.
And how much do you make now currently? Is it still the same 30 kwacha or higher?
No, it's not that. 30, 50, 50 Nishana, Angalagona Moya, Ponish, Angalagona Moya, Capizaco 50 watch.
Apamoya Kalira, Payankalako.
Diamond TV viewers, you've heard it for yourselves. The people of Lusaka in Long Acres have had their pockets tightening. Money is reducing in their pockets with the rise in prices, mainly spurring from the reduction in subsidies. Who is really paying for the Zambian debt?
A few bumps in the way, but this may just be the best performance in this week's challenge.
Why I'm saying the messy part of this package is at Long Acres Market is because, first of all, even the questions you were asking were off the debt topic. I think it would have just been simple to ask them a question in relation to what you really want to get out of them. But I hear you say, oh, mwezopanga 100 kwacha. So, vintu vavuta, eh? It's like you're trying to really influence somebody to give you
a certain response.
A certain response. It had to come out. So if you've got 4 or 5 people you're talking to, you sample who has given me the best answer. And certainly the first source was you should have edited them out. From the language, you're speaking English, they're speaking street lingo. The choice of the t-shirt for me is I'm not comfortable for TV. Did you see that? His t-shirt.
Costa felt Rose did not take last week's challenge seriously.
So you've reported and told the story?
Yes, I think I did.
Are you sure? Is this a package worth showing, say, in a news setup or a standalone that you've told as a story?
It can be put in a news setup, that's okay.
Well, today we are in the Zingalume area, also known as the Ballastone area, and we're talking about postpartum depression. And since we very much know that in these spheres, people do not go and attend things like therapy, we want to know how they cope with postpartum depression.
Postnatal depression, ile depression isa kulivana nayo iliyo bafuma mukupapa. And on my part, I can say I've experienced it.
Being the last presenter of the day, will she show how hungry she is in this competition?
Close down.
But you have someone there.
And then
Rose.
I have people with me who, firstly, are not ready to...
But what you're missing is this. I'm talking about, or he's talking about, the second lady. And
Yeah.
you had control
So what she
over
was-
you just hold on. Listen to us. You had control over your package. Are you not able to tell that she's contradicting your subject?
Rose yet again is treading on thin ice. Will she escape elimination once again? After the break, elimination. Before the break, we had very heated presentations in the presentation room. The judge has made his decision, and now the contestants will meet Costa.
We began with 20 of you. At this stage, there's 12 of you remaining. I need to remind you that this competition from this step onwards will be more tougher, and I will be trying to get the best out of the inside of each and every one of you. Jonah?
Contestants, storytelling is an art that must be carried by any TV host. And it is disappointing that at this stage of the competition, most of you, all of you, have very minimal understanding of what a package is. We are incredibly disappointed because we expected you to go out there, do your research, come back with quality work that meets the Diamond Media standard. And none of you have done that.
Ntalasha, step up. Exchange places with Nova. Despite your story or the piece that you did on Zambia's debt and how it trickled down to the ordinary person, despite it not being perfect, because nothing anywhere in life is perfect, this or yours is the only piece we could salvage as the only thing that resembled a package, and at least you were able to tell a story with statistics, and you were able to fulfill the objective of what your story was all about. You messed up with your vox pops. You messed up with the fact that your interviews at Long Acres Market were not the best. They took away from the story, but at least you managed to capture what we were looking for in the assignment. Well done. For that, you deserve a lunch coupon worth 250 kwacha from Gourmet Restaurant. Well done. A big hand for her. Ntalasha, you must step back. This week, Chiambi, you are up for elimination again. Nova, your delivery was far below par, especially for somebody who is a qualified and trained journalist. No excuse for that whatsoever. No excuse for that whatsoever. You're up equally for elimination this week. Opa, we expected better from you this week because you were top in last week's challenge. But nevertheless, you managed to give us something that was a bit more of a package. You may step back. George, step up. You find yourself in elimination. I believe this is the very first time. You were supposed to give us a package. What you gave us was an interview. Kotso, equally, you told us that you had communicated to the editors something about you not being in the interview. I asked you during your presentation, did you ask the editor to remove the questions from the package or not?
As I said earlier, I do not recall as to whether I did ask them to remove the questions, but I do remember asking him to remove me from the shot.
Kotso, take me seriously. If you do not recall, who will recall? Who was in charge of this assignment? So if you don't recall, who will recall? Were you mic'd when you were asking the questions?
Yes, sir. No, I wasn't.
I'll ask you again, were you mic'd?
I wasn't.
What was the reason why you were not mic'd?
The mic was given to the person that I was interviewing, considering the focus was going to be on him.
Because you said you did not want to be part of the edit in terms of the questions.
Yes, I didn't want to be part of the shot.
And that's the reason why I'm putting you up for elimination. Because when you were supposed to produce a package, you opted to give us an interview with you.
So this is the first time that I have been set up for elimination, and the reason I was put on the chopping board today was my inability to understand the task that was required fully and my inability to execute it as well. That was a shortcoming on my end, which today had to be revealed.
You know why you're standing here. You're back to face me again. What you gave us.
Let's watch and see. I really don't think, I don't know who will be the diamond, but then let's watch and see. It's a game of twists and turns.
Well, this week, you are among the bottom performers, I believe. I will not accept a situation, innocent, where you have no answer for me as to why you go and do a piece on entrepreneurship and simply display adverts. George, you speak very well, confidently.
I felt really nervous. I didn't even have control of like what it is I had to say. And the fact that it was the first time there were 6 of us on the elimination block was just something that made me even more nervous and more aware and open to the fact that we have to like get eliminated one by one, and then eventually have to leaves room for like one person to own the title of being the next diamond.
And a qualified journalist by training, I believe. But what you gave us was far off from being a package. And I cannot believe that somebody who sat in a journalism classroom cannot tell the difference between an interview and a package. I cannot believe that. Why should I not be sending you home today?
Why I shouldn't be sent home today is, as you have seen from my previous...
In all honesty, with how the presentation went, I expected it. I would have been shocked if I wasn't put up for elimination, because Costa only watched the first, must have been 30 seconds of the package and the last few seconds of the package. So I knew that with that regard, I would find myself on the chopping block. So what put me there was, he referred to the feature that I did as it was falling more in line with being an interview, and I actually got his point, and that's what landed me on the chopping block this week.
But what I saw today, you today.
I believe I have innovative ideas that can progress the movement of Diamond Media. Aside presenting, I feel I can assist in production, I can assist in script writing. There's so much that I do have to offer, and I am hungry and passionate about this.
Rose, how many times have you stood before me and up for elimination?
This is my 3rd time.
Have you been unfairly put here in those 3 times?
No.
Do you feel you have the lives of a cat that you can survive each elimination that comes through?
No.
Do you have anything to say as to why I should not be sending you home? Because I think I've heard everything.
A diamond is not made in one day. It takes a lot of hitting and beating and so much effort to get it out. So I am a diamond in the rough. I do need training. I will fumble and I will fall, but eventually I will become the diamond I deserve to be. So this was a learning in progress. And even when you look at the errors that I made, it was one of the errors that if someone has never made a package, they would definitely make. So I am learning, and so far I have learned from these mistakes, and I'm sure if another whole package that was told to be made would be done again, I'll do it better than before.
Are you being honest that through the course of your work, you have never packaged stories before?
Yes, I am.
You've never packaged stories before?
No, I haven't.
As a person who works in the league?
Yes, I have only seen other people do it, but then it wasn't even full work. It was just a glimpse that wasn't really information that I could use at the time.
Throughout the few times I've given you feedback, especially in today's assignment, you spoke more than you listened. And that is not good for somebody who tells me they want to learn. Nova,
Sir.
Why should I keep you?
She kept me because I'm willing to learn.
What happened this week?
Honestly, I really gave it my best. I had to change my package so many times because a lot of people kept on bailing on me and telling me they couldn't do it, so I just...
So you're blaming the people who bailed on you. That happens every day in the newsroom, and we need to deliver to our viewers every day. And if you're going to be part of this team, you cannot give me such excuses. We have to deliver to the viewers every day. Somebody is waiting to watch the news, somebody is waiting to go onto our Facebook page, somebody wants to click our YouTube, and there must be content without fail. So I'm not going to stand here and tell me people bailed out on me. But you had somebody. You had people to talk to. But up to now, I do not believe that some of those things that you were doing in there were real.
They were.
So you're back before me. Why should you stay, Chiambi? Because every week you're coming up for elimination.
And every week I am learning. I really didn't understand. It was my first time doing this, and I learned a lot, and I'm still willing to learn a lot. And so...
Do you think that this is a school? Most of you think this is a kindergarten or something. All of you are telling me we're here to learn. This is a job interview. This is a job preparation. I'm not looking for people that I'm going to be schooling. You signed up for this competition, and this is what it takes. I'm looking for people that are able to deliver to the standards we're looking for. Nova, you must step back. Chiambi, your road to the Diamond TV presenter search ends here. I'm sorry you wanted to learn more. If really that is your desire, you need to learn to pick up the pieces, especially that you're in journalism school. I would have expected better from you, but unfortunately at this point, the competition begins to get tougher, and I'm looking for people who are serious. I'm sorry. Innocent, step up. George, I like you as a presenter. But unfortunately, George, what you gave me was not the best. And unfortunately, you can do better. I'll allow you to stay. Step back. Rose, the road for you ends here.
Costa's challenges were not really that bad. It's probably me who just didn't place my priorities straight and let a few things get to me and didn't bring out the best of what I could have brought out. So nothing really was hard about bringing Costa's expectations to par. A beautiful learning experience. I got to meet new people, I got to learn new things, I got to understand what I should work on as an individual, and I got to learn new aspects of myself. I'm guessing a bit more media and me touching up on what I've done. But then I would say it's a surprise, because I also surprise myself, so we'll see.